Okay, the following are going to be some worked homework problems from the factoring worksheet. The first one I'm going to work is number 15, and that one starts 12x squared minus 92xy minus 280y squared. Initially, that looks pretty scary, so I'm going to look for a common factor, and the greatest common factor here is 3. And so it becomes 3x squared minus 23xy minus 70y squared. Now those are numbers I can handle. So now I'm looking at what numbers are going to fill in here. Put in your y's and your x's. Minus minus means plus minus. Now, what numbers are going to go in these 4 spots such that when I combine outside and inside, I get negative 23. So I'm going to look at my factors of 3 and my factors of 70. 3, 5, 14, 7, and 10. Now, plus minus is really like saying outside minus inside. So I start combining 1 times 1 and minus 3 times 70. Well, that's not going to be 23 after 23. So I'm going to switch it. 1 times 70 minus 3 times 1. That's not 23. Finished that one. 1 times 2 minus 3 times 35. Well, that's not 23. So switch it. 1 times 35 minus 3 times 2. And that's not going to give me what I need. So I finished that. 1 times 5 minus 3 times 14. That's not 23. 1 times 14 minus 3 times 5. That's not 23. 1 times 10 minus 3 times 7 is not 23, but 1 times 7 minus 3 times 10, whew, that one is. So now I know what I need in each spot. So if I put a 1 here from this group, dot, 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 that means my 7 has to go here. My 3 is part of my x factor, which means my 10 goes here. I'm going to check outside negative 7xy, inside positive 30xy. My signs are backwards. So all that means is I just need to go in here and say plus a negative 10 and a positive. My signs flip-flop, everything's good. Take a quick check that I have 3x squared in my first position. I have negative 70y squared. So my cleaned up answer is x plus, cleaned up answer is x minus 10y times 3x plus 7y. And that is fully factored. The next problem that I'm going to offer you some help on is number 17. And 17 starts 7x squared minus 36xy plus 32y squared. Obviously, there are no common factors. So I'm going to go to my parentheses, y in each position, oops, x in each position, y in each position, minus plus is minus minus. Now I have to look at the factors of 7 and the factors of 32 and see how they would combine outside plus inside, because minus minus is really adding. How are they going to combine to make 36? Now the more of these you do, a little savvier you can get when you're thinking about your numbers. And if I need a fairly middle to small numbers, I'm not going to start with my biggest pairs. I might start with my smaller pairs, trying to find that number that's closer together. So what would happen if I take 1 times 4 minus 7 times 8? Well, that's not going to be 36. but 1 times 8 minus, plus rather, 7 times 4, 28. God darn it. Okay, I finished matching my pairs. I have 28 plus 8, so now I know where they go. I have, if I put 1 x here, x needs to be paired with 8. If I have my 7 here with my x, that needs to get paired with a 4. Check your middle term, minus 28xy. Check your outside term, minus 8xy. And I have negative 36xy. That's good. Quick check your first two terms, 7x squared. Check your last two terms, 32y squared. Your cleaned up factored version is x minus 4y times 7x minus 8y. Now the next homework problem that I thought was kind of interesting was 28. And 28 starts 50a squared minus 32b squared. Well, I'm going to look for a greatest common factor first, and that happens to be 2. 25a squared minus 16b squared. Now, it doesn't have that ab term, so it's not a trial and error trinomial factor, but 25a squared is a perfect square, and 16b squared is a perfect square. So that's that perfect square factoring where you take the square root of each piece and you add them, and then you take the square root of each piece and you subtract them. And that is your perfectly factored version. I think 30 is also an interesting problem to look at. So we're going to look at 30. 30 is 4m squared plus 32m squared n squared plus 64n to the fourth. Oh, this was m to the fourth. Now, we haven't dealt with anything to a fourth power, but it's not a big deal. We are just going to split our variable evenly between the two sets of factors. So first we're going to take out our greatest common factor, which does happen to be 4. And that's going to leave me m to the fourth plus 8m squared n squared plus 16n to the fourth. So 4 is out here. And I'm going to put half of the m's there and half of the n's here, because m to the second times m to the second is m to the fourth. And then I'm going to take half of the n's and split them. Plus, plus. So now I'm looking at factors of 16 that are going to combine to make 8. Clearly 4 and 4. So that is your factored version. Now 31 is also kind of fun. Let's look at 31. 31 is 2y to the fourth minus 20y squared x squared plus 50x to the fourth. Greatest common factor is always the first thing we look for. And that leaves y to the fourth minus 10y squared x squared plus 25x to the fourth. Again, we're just going to split our y's and our x's evenly in between our two. Minus plus is minus minus. Now I have to look at the factors of 25, 1 and 25, and 5 and 5 that are going to combine under addition to make 10, and that's clearly 5 and 5. Since this is a squared subtracting, I take a quick peek to see if 5x squared is a perfect square. It's not, because 5 is not a perfect square, and so I am done right there. The next homework problem I'd like to do for you is 36. The 36 is a grouping one. It's 35b cubed plus 56b squared plus negative 15b minus 24. Now I always change those subtractions to add the opposite so that I keep track of my signs. My greatest common factor in the first group is 7b squared, and that leaves me 5b plus 8. Plus, my greatest common factor in this second pairing is negative 3, and that leaves me 5b plus 8. Now, the 5b plus 8s are my greatest common factor. They come out front, and that leaves 7b squared minus 3 as my final factored form. I also want to do 35 for you. Sorry, those were out of order. 35 is 8n cubed minus 16n squared plus n minus 2. Give that a grouping. Factor out your greatest common factor of 8n squared, leaving n minus 2. Plus, there is no common factor in here, but remember, in front of every number, we can put a 1. So my greatest common factor of n minus 2 and n minus 2 get taken out. And that leaves 8n squared plus 1 as the remaining factor. If you FOIL this, you will get back to this original. The last problem I would like to help you with tonight is 43. And 43 is 120a cubed minus 144a squared plus 210a minus 252. A lot of really big numbers, it seems. So I'm going to put my groupings in. When I look for common factors, 12 is a common factor here, and that leaves 10a minus 12. Plus, here, I did some checking. I can take a 21 out, and that leaves 10a minus 12. Now, at this point, somebody's maybe noticing, Mrs. Green, there's still a common factor of 10 and 12. That's okay. I can take it out later, but right now, I'm looking for a common factor. And so I can, whoops, I forgot the a squared. Sorry, a squared. I can take 10a minus 12 and 12a squared plus 21 and make my two factors. 10a minus 12 has a common factor of 2. So I'm going to take that out. But 12 and 21 also have a common factor of 3. And I'm going to remove that. So now I'm going to combine these two constant terms into 6, 5a minus 6 times 4a squared plus 7. So sometimes it works out and it's okay to not grab the biggest common factor to